This is the North Deering section of Portland. It's more residential, single-family type houses. We're kind of close to the Falmouth line here. So we're as far away from the center of Portland as you can get and stay in Portland.
Jamie Caron, his wife Denise, and sons Kyle and Ryan live just a quarter of a mile from the Presumpscot River Preserve, a place they go regularly for Sunday walks and adventures.
Let's head down. Head down the line.
The Presumpscot River Preserve is one section of a new trail network that a group called Portland Trails is helping to create. One day, Portland Trails hopes that people will be able to walk from Sebago Lake all the way to Portland along the Presumpscot River.
This is probably, maybe half a mile, maybe not quite that, to the water, to the river.
Roger Burley is president of the board of Portland Trails and a longtime conservationist in Maine.
The good news today about the Presumpscot is the bad news that existed before, because the pollution that settled behind the Smelt Hill Dam, not a few hundred yards from here, created a horrendous stink which would have taken the paint off any houses that were built here.
And it wasn't until recent years that the river's been cleaned up that suddenly people are noticing it for its development opportunities.
In 2001, a developer from Falmouth proposed a 64-unit subdivision on 120 acres along the Presumpscot River in Portland. Jamie Caron was a member of the Portland Planning Board at the time.
When the development came forward, that was really when a lot of the city leaders came forward and said, this is something worth trying to preserve. How do we find a way to let the developer develop the land that he wants to use and create another subdivision? And then how do we then make a deal to preserve the space along the river, which is really what the public has an interest in.
The City of Portland and Portland Trails tried very hard to either prevent or modify, and we ended up being able to only modify it.
Yeah, this is one of the last lots on this end of that particular subdivision.
In the end, Portland Trails was able to preserve 60 acres at a cost of $1.8 million. The money would come from individual gifts, businesses, and foundations, and the land for Maine's Future Fund.
When this Presumpscot River Preserve project came up before the LMF board about 5 years ago, it was shouted down for several reasons, but one was the idea that how much $500,000 could accomplish up in Aroostook County or in any of the other counties further removed from population centers. That was exactly the antithesis of that is what's so important, because there are 250,000 people living right here, and so just because we only were able to essentially purchase 40 acres as opposed to 40,000 acres up north, the people live here.
Yeah, now we need a boat. Tree bark for a boat.
Portland Trails is building on the work of the Olmsted brothers from 100 years ago, who originally laid out that there should be trails in Portland, connecting the parks and the schools and the neighborhoods. So we're really building on that kind of history here. We have been working piece by piece. We consider we're putting together a puzzle, starting with the Presumpscot River Preserve lands, but then we've been building on that.
Here you are within a few miles of the old port in the downtown, the biggest city in Maine, and yet you'd feel like you're in the middle of the North Woods. There's a lot of trails like this in Portland. This is not the only one.
I've talked to a lot of people who have moved outside of the city to someplace like Gray or Scarborough or something, thinking they're going to be living in a more outdoors, more natural environment. And then they get there and find they can't walk anywhere from their home. There aren't sidewalks in their community. They have to walk on the side of the road if they want to go for a walk. And I've talked to some people who have then turned around and moved back to Portland because it's a livable place where you can get to a trail, take a little walk.
While it might seem a lot to ask of a hiking path, Portland Trails' success is having wide-ranging benefits.
What health care officials keep saying is you have to get out and walk. And yet so many communities don't have places where it's safe to go and walk. So that is one piece of Portland Trails work that we're especially proud of, is we're helping making Portland a healthy community where people can be active.
having these large open spaces, that's sort of the trade-off you have for the density. If you can preserve this and keep it open for the public, then you don't need the big lot.
We have a number of trails built now that aren't yet interconnected. I want to think that anybody in Portland could walk from their home, access their local trail, and be able to take that trail anywhere else in Portland. And that could be a 10 or 20 mile walk, but they don't have to drive to get to a trail.
It totally affects the quality of life to not have to drive to Moosehead Lake or to the White Mountains to access solitude and see eagles and ospreys and herons right within 10 or 15 minutes of their home.